Welcome back to HKEX Voice, our podcast series featuring insights from senior executives and industry experts on Hong Kong's financial markets. My name is 𝗙cie𝗹𝗹cie from Corporate Communications, and I will be your host today. I'd like to welcome Johnson Chui, HKEX's Head of Global Issuer Services, onto the show today to talk to us about the state of Hong Kong's IPO market in 2025. Johnson, great to have you here.
Thanks for having me, Thomas.
So several months into the start of 2025, we've already seen a surge in listings in Hong Kong, one of the big ones in February with a Chinese bubble tea giant with more stores than McDonald's in China, raising about $444 million and experiencing record oversubscription. Johnson, tell me more about what companies and investors find attractive about Hong Kong's capital markets.
Yeah, thanks, Thomas. So really a few things that really makes Hong Kong stand apart as a key international finance center. So firstly, we have one of the most liquid markets both within the Asia region and globally. And importantly, we have a very long history of capital fundraise, helping companies to go IPO and subsequently a very long history of follow-on offerings, both primary capital fundraisers and also helping pre-IPO shareholders to monetize their stock. The second point, which is also very important for issuers considering to list in Hong Kong, is our deep and broad investor base. So Hong Kong is very unique in the sense that we have the full range of international investors globally, regional and China-focused investors. We have a decent pool of non-traditional corporate, high net worth, and retail investors. And lastly, but not least, we also have the Stock Connect, which really allows onshore mainland Chinese investors to buy into our Hong Kong market.
Great. Broad base of investors. Hong Kong's markets, of course, known to be highly liquid. Many investors from, as you said, internationally, from the mainland China, as well as Hong Kong's own investors, right? So how does liquidity factor into a company's decision to list here? How liquid is it compared to other exchanges?
Yeah, no, it's highly important. And liquidity is one of the hot topics on many issuers and also investors' minds nowadays. Now, as I mentioned earlier, our Hong Kong market, we are one of the most liquid markets in Asia, and also with one of the most international investor participation. And just to share some stats with you, of the 19 of the top 20 daily turnover records in history of Hong Kong's capital markets, which is a very long history, 19 of the top 20 days have actually occurred within the last 12 months.
Yeah.
Secondly, in terms of the primary market, we have seen a very sharp rise in IPO proceeds raised. We saw a very obvious rebound post-summer of last year in 2024. And if we look at the first quarter of this year in 2025, we welcomed 17 new listed companies on our market, raising about 17.7 billion Hong Kong dollars, give or take roughly about $2 billion US, which was almost like more than double of the proceeds raised at the same period of last year. But more importantly, as we look forward into our IPO pipeline, we do see a number of mega listings and high-quality companies that have already filed or announced their intention to list in Hong Kong. The next point, which we're very happy to share, is our follow-on market has been even more active than our IPO market. So just in the first quarter of this year, the follow-on market has raised over $18 billion US, which is a 20-fold increase from the same period of last year, and quite a number of very high-profile and notable deals. So we saw two of the largest follow-on offerings raising money, including BYD's US $5.6 billion private placement, and Xiaomi shortly after BYD's transaction raised $5.5 billion as well. And those two deals are in fact two of the three largest follow-on offerings globally so far this year. And in terms of different fundraising structures, we also saw the largest EB in history involving Hong Kong listed shares as an underlying asset, and that was with Baidu's exchangeable bond sale in Trip.com, raising US $2 billion for Baidu. And lastly, again, we have the Stock Connect, and the Stock Connect is also a very attractive point for issuers to tap onshore Chinese investor participation.
So we're sort of seeing a surge in listings in the IPO market. What are the latest trends that we're seeing in the IPO market in 2025?
Yeah, so a few very obvious trends. The first is listings. So existing onshore Asia listed companies choosing to do a second listing in Hong Kong. That wave was really kicked off by the Medea IPO in last September and followed off with SF Holdings' successful listing in Hong Kong. So as we speak now, in terms of filed or publicly announced transactions, we have around 30 odd companies that have plans to do a AH listing in Hong Kong. The second thematic is what we call Chapter 18A and 18C companies. And to translate that into more layman's words, again, it's really Hong Kong's focus on technology, new economy, and also biotech companies. So Chapter 18A is our biotech chapter. Chapter 18C is our specialist technology chapter that was announced roughly about 2 years ago. And we've seen so far 3 companies being listed through this Chapter 18C option, and hopefully we'll see more to come. And I guess to really round off the key trends on the IPO market, just broadly speaking, new economy, AI, new energy, and also tech unicorns, we do feel that the Hong Kong market does provide a very good platform for these companies to list in Hong Kong, and hopefully we'll see more companies from these areas to come to list.
I think I read in the news that China just announced the 60 billion renminbi AI fund supporting the sort of development of this sector. So obviously, lots to look forward to. Can you tell me a little bit, in your perspective, the A to H trend? What's driving these Chinese companies to come to Hong Kong?
Yeah, a few key drivers. One is going international, global ambitions. So what's been quite apparent is a number of Chinese companies, particularly over the past few years, have really expanded their global footprint. And as they think about growing their international expansion and business, being able to leverage Hong Kong as a super connector for them to expand globally from a capital markets perspective, Hong Kong has a key role to play on that. And in addition to that, the other benefits that we see is just, having a Hong Kong listed stock does allow them to build business relationships internationally with a stronger validation and backing. And some of the issuers have also noted that as they expand internationally, the ability to use a Hong Kong listed stock to provide, say, employees restricted stock or stock options, or maybe even to use the Hong Kong listed stock as acquisition currency for potential M&A. These are all key benefits of listing in Hong Kong.
Right. And obviously, we've announced quite a few enhancements to our listing environment here in Hong Kong. One of the most recent hot topics being the tech channel. Could you maybe share a little bit about what it is and how it will benefit potential companies looking to list in Hong Kong?
Yeah, so I'll definitely urge you to stay tuned for more updates on this. But just a few high-level comments. Again, as I mentioned earlier, technology and biotech, or broadly the healthcare sector, it's two key sectors that is of extremely high importance for the Hong Kong market. We've seen a number of successful listings in these two sectors over the years. And what we really want to do with this upcoming tech channel is, for relevant companies, both on the specialist tech and biotech space, to really provide them with more guidance for listing.
More communication.
More communication,
right.
That's right.
Yeah. Okay. And obviously, Johnson, you have been around the world, since you joined HKEX, been on a couple of business trips, meeting with a lot of companies, so forth. Hong Kong, obviously, the gateway for mainland companies to raise capital and go global. But what about international, overseas companies? Are we seeing any activity there?
Yeah, we have seen a lot more interest and focus from international issuers on what's been happening recently in our Hong Kong markets, both in terms of the increase in general liquidity in our secondary market and importantly on the primary market front, IPOs and follow-on activities. As a result, in particular, I would say within Asia and particularly in the ASEAN region, we have seen a marked increase in dialogue with issuers and some of the shareholders for potential issuers that are considering doing an IPO to assess the merits and benefits of listing in Hong Kong. And for example, in the past few months, we've seen a few successes of ASEAN companies listed in Hong Kong. In Q4 of last year, we had a e-commerce enabler company headquartered in Singapore that did a very successful listing in Hong Kong by way of a de-SPAC. In the back end of Q1 in March, we also saw an aluminium company headquartered in Indonesia also doing a successful listing in Hong Kong. So we've already seen some successful listings from ASEAN, and we feel this trend hopefully will continue to extend. And ASEAN has always been a very close partnership and friend of Hong Kong within the region. And a few more things that we've recently done from an exchange perspective. One is we've recently added Thailand as a recognized stock exchange. And we've also welcomed a Thai company in the consumer beverage space that has done a public filing with the intention to list in Hong Kong as well. And just one other thing I wanted to share outside of Asia, Middle East is also a region that we've been spending a lot of time and effort on. So we've publicly announced the intention at some point in time this year we'll be opening a Riyadh office in Saudi and had an ongoing MOU with Tadawul and hopefully we could enhance the partnership between Hong Kong and also the broader Middle East region.
And during your overseas trips, what's the number one thing that companies want to know about Hong Kong before coming to list here?
It's really two things. Hong Kong is more than offer than just one point. I think it's two things, really two questions. One question is, what type of sectors are relevant for international companies to list in Hong Kong? And number two, if they list in Hong Kong, what are the sources of increased liquidity that they could benefit from? So on the first question, the potential sectors, Hong Kong, we have a very broad base, a very broad array of sectors listed in Hong Kong. I guess at this juncture, what's relevant for foreign companies, companies in the new economy TMT space, because Hong Kong is one of the most concentrated pools of tech companies listed globally. Number two, healthcare, and maybe more specifically biotech. And the third area is consumer retail companies that have businesses and brands that are operating globally, and particularly in this part of the world, broadly within Asia or in China. So companies, sort of with this nexus, do find Hong Kong interesting. And on the second part, what are the sources of broadening liquidity? Right. I think it's quite fruitful to be able to share that. For companies listed in Hong Kong, you have access to all of the global international investors. And the second point is what's really unique with Hong Kong is our Stock Connect program, and allowing companies to access onshore mainland Chinese investors. And for foreign companies, they only became eligible 2 years ago. So this is not new news, but it's a newer piece of news that some foreign issuers are not aware of.
And Johnson, we're seeing renewed interest from overseas companies coming to Hong Kong, returning to Hong Kong. How is Hong Kong and HKEX positioned to capture all of that demand?
Yeah, very exciting. And we hope we could definitely help issuers and overseas listed companies to really tap and access the benefits of listing on our market in Hong Kong. But I would say really two buckets of overseas listed companies that we've been speaking with. Number one is US listed China ADRs returning home to list in Hong Kong. And this bucket of companies already have had a good history of coming back. So back in 2019, Alibaba was the first one. And, like 5-6 years on, we have over 30 of these ADR companies coming back to do a dual listing in Hong Kong. The second bucket really is some international exchange listed foreign companies that are exploring the merits and possibility for a Hong Kong listing. And we feel what Hong Kong and HKEX offers, it's really a complementary listing platform to their home listing venue because of our broad access to international and China and onshore investors through the Connect. It broadens the potential investor base for these companies with a potential dual listing in Hong Kong.
Yep.
And the other thing that we feel is quite powerful is particularly for companies that are trading outside of the Asia time zone region, the ability to have a dual listing allows their stock to be traded across a longer trading hour period, in any given day.
And Johnson, what has HKEX done recently to enhance the listing environment here in Hong Kong? What are some of the recent enhancements we have done?
Yeah, so our aim is to never stop running, and whatever we can do to continue to enhance the listing environment to be beneficial for issuers, we continue to explore options. So the first is we recently just completed the IPO price discovery consultation. So that's a pretty broad-based consultation spanning across the price discovery process, offer structure, different allocation structures to different categories of investors. So the consultation just recently completed, and hopefully we'll have some follow-up and enhancements coming out of that. The second enhancement I wanted to share again is the enhanced timeframe for new listing applications, which was a public announcement made jointly by the SFC of Hong Kong and also HKEX. And really it's just to provide certainty and a faster guaranteed timing on the IPO vetting process for newly listed applicants. And through this process, from discussions we've had with issuers, there is a acknowledgement that there is a clear increase in efficiency in terms of the vetting process for these new applications. And just further down the track, you mentioned the tech channel earlier, so that's something in the works. Stay tuned for that. And finally, we have announced that at some point in time we will have the REIT Connect as well, and that will be quite a nice touch to really just broaden the asset base for listed securities listed in Hong Kong for issuers to invest into.
So it's good to hear that the companies are excited about the enhanced time frame. Hope to see more of those enhancements coming out soon. So thanks to Johnson for joining us on this episode. It was great to learn more about the IPO market, latest trends, and hopefully the momentum for these mega listings will continue into 2025 and beyond. Thank you for joining us and tuning into this episode of HKEX Voice. Check out our other episodes on our social media channels, and for more information on HKEX and our markets, please visit our website at hkex.com.hk.